Oh my!
Let's talk about who these two people are. One I'm somewhat familiar with, and one I have no clue who he is. This is Suki Hana and YK Osiris. Suki Hana is a rapper, and I think I don't know if it's fair to call Suki Hana like a sex worker, but I think she might be, or is a former sex worker. Like I know she's done some has she done like some adult film stuff? Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I feel like she's done some. Ooh, and this is where I hate to put you on blast, but like, yeah, we got to talk about this tape right here because that is not that is not the appropriate way to describe this versus watch. She's sex work adjacent, right? I don't know exactly what she's done. I'm not a big enough follower of her, but I feel like she's had an OnlyFans and she's done a little of this, done a little of that, and she has very, very sexually explicit. Her music is comedically over the top, sexually explicit, right? She's viral right now for a song called Eating. As you might have heard this on TikTok, but it's like eating niggas' asses. We be eating niggas' asses. Like that's her.
Eating his ass, eating a nigga ass, eating a nigga ass. We be eating niggas' ass.
The couple of weeks ago or last week, she was at a boxing event, right? And she's not like a huge star, but she's well known and she's viral in the moment. She's at a boxing event, and this brother YK Osiris in the red, who I'm assuming is a rapper. I've never heard of this cat. Does he have any songs I know? Songs, YK Osiris songs. Oh God. I just listened to this. I just listened to 5 seconds of this and I don't know if y'all saw the face I just made. But whatever. You're like, I'm not here to judge music just yet. Right. This I would give you the world. Like, ooh, them frog throat vocals. But you know, to each their own. All right, so at this game, I'm not gonna show the video because I don't want to disturb anybody. I don't know the preamble to this, but I don't think there's any like preamble that could make it appropriate. There's Suki Hana is sitting down. I think she took a picture of YK Osiris. And then after this, he tries to kiss her. And it's not just like the awkward kiss, like, you go in for the kiss and the girl's like, ooh, no, like type situation. It's a pretty bad like violation of her of her like personal space and personhood, where she is like really trying to pull away, and he grabs her by her throat and like tries to like force her to kiss him, and it's a really like cringe, uncomfortable, not okay moment. Yeah, it was not like let me go back and watch to make sure I'm describing this fairly, because the people want to argue about what really happened. Is he's massaging her on her back, he gives her a kiss on the shoulder, and then he like grabs her by her throat and like tries to like get all up in her mouth. Yeah, we're going from scaring the maidens to assaulting the maidens industry. So I just wanted to confirm to make sure I wasn't misremembering or didn't see the right angle of all the whataboutisms that people try to put out there, right? So, and he apologized for this. So this is outright a form of assault, okay? It's really uncomfortable to watch, and it's not at all appropriate, and he deserved all the shade he got. Suki Hana comes back and she talks about, this is what made me want to talk about it. And let me find her quote real quick. She said the other day on social media, on Twitter, I stopped drinking yesterday, but today I've been crying all day. I asked God to strengthen me and use me to help others and order my steps in his word. I just want to go away for a while. I am hurt and I am scared to stand up for myself. And of course, as you might expect, the worst people in the world, maybe including whoever had that statement from earlier, are using like the most predictable, awful arguments to not just defend him, but to vilify Suki Hana. And they're using the argument I've heard is that, well, she talks about sex all on her videos and eating niggas' asses, and she's released videos of her sucking dick and all this stuff. This is what I've seen. I don't know if that's actually even true. And yeah, academics, I haven't even heard what academics had to say. But I guarantee you he's probably one of them. So all the excuses, it's I hate to say this, it's basically Me Too rape culture 101 discourse. And it's wild to me. It's not unexpected. I should expect it, but it's still like really frustrating that had to be a conversation at all. To YK Osiris's to credit, he apologized from what I saw. But before he apologized, there was all these people coming out to defend him, saying he's not a bad guy. He was just caught up in a moment or some shit like that. The first thing I want to dispel is this idea that because Sukihana, like that's literally what were you wearing? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I disagree with this. I don't think there would be a different reaction. Well, let me rephrase this. There'd be a different excuse if it was a different woman. There wouldn't be a different reaction, because when women, and black women in particular, are in any way violated in the public eye, the immediate response is always to defend the victimizer. That's always the immediate response, especially within the black community, especially if it's a black man. If it's a white man, the story may not make it to news, right? So, and that's a part I'll get to. But if it's a black man and there's some type of violation of a woman in the public eye, we can go to Chris Brown, we can go to R. Kelly, we can go to Bill Cosby, we can go to Trey Songz, we can go to Russell Simmons. We just did this with fucking short dude, Tory Lanez. The instant reaction. This is why the concept of believe victims is important. People think believe victims is just immediately, completely say the accused is guilty. What believe victims really is about is take the victim's word for it, to investigate it and address it fully, to take it seriously. That's the whole point of that, right? Because what happens, especially with black women, is black women are violated, and the instant defense is, well, what was she doing? What was she wearing? What type of woman was she? You know, what was she, a sex worker? What was she wearing? You know, like, was she fast? There's a whole discourse. I'm not going to get into the full black feminist bag. I'll probably leave some videos that deal with this when this comes out in the description. But that is the instant reaction, and none of that is valid. Sukihana being overly sexual in her content and being sex worker adjacent does not mean a random nigga can walk up and grab you by your mouth and try to kiss you that you don't know. That is not how that shit works, right? And we should know this, but we'll get to that in a second. Like, that is like me walking up to a rapper and asking for drugs and reaching in his pockets like, you rap about drugs, Rick Ross. What a weight at? You supposed to have the weight on you. That's not how that shit works, and y'all know it's not how it works. Like that's like if fucking The Rock came in my house and I ran up and drop kicked him and challenged him to a match. This logic only flies with women who are sexually provocative in public because of, you know, patriarchy, misogyny, misogynoir, like shit that we've talked about 100 times. That take makes absolutely no sense. When Takeoff died, nobody was like, when Takeoff died, I'm sure there was like some Ben Shapiro ass niggas like, well, he rapped about violence, and we would clown that take. I'm sure that, I don't know, Candace Owens would say some shit like that. Jason Whitlock. I bet you Jason Whitlock said some shit like, well, if he didn't rap about violence and selling drugs, he wouldn't have got shot. That's the type of shit Jason Whitlock would say. And it's just as dumb if Jason Whitlock saying that is just as dumb as anybody who is saying because Suki Hana is a sex worker adjacent and is overly sex in her lyrics, that like random niggas on the street that she don't know, that she doesn't want, like her body language is very clear. I do not want you touching me like this. Take the hint, right? So let's move on. So my next thing I want to get to is he was a good guy, air quotes. He's not a bad dude. And this is the thing I really want to get into, right? Is the way we respond to these things. Meek Mill's comments, don't do this to him, please. He's a good kid, just slap him, Meek Mill posted. We don't need our young bulls tore down for mistakes in this hypersexual era. I support Suki, hold that shit down on some street shit. Y'all drawing a big line between men and women nowadays on social. It's getting bad in the black community. All this internet superficial shaming, judging, gaslighting only hurts us people. And it's a lot of people who need strength, especially young black men. He might got a rumble Suki brother or anything, but this same internet tear each other down stuff. Suki can do what she wants. She feels violated, but let me mind her business. It's a kind of a rambling take, but here's what I get it from. So there's an element in what Meek is saying that I am empathetic of, which is essentially what we call carceral feminism. And somebody even just put in the chat about pressing charges, right? So there is something to say about the way that black men in particular are punished for these types of transgressions that I always want to be sensitive to. But that's not the beginning of that that conversation comes after we support the victim in the situation, right? You know, I don't support carceral feminism. I don't support like the way that black men are often criminalized off-site. But the nigga assaulted her. Like we get to that in a second, right? I want to talk about he's a good kid first. Because to me, that is the biggest problem in this conversation, is that people don't understand that good men, that good dudes assault women all the time. That, in fact, it's good dudes that on paper, in their historical past, whatever situation, they're not R. Kelly's, they're not Bill Cosby's, right? R. Kelly and Bill Cosby are rare. They're outliers, extreme outliers. The violence that women, specifically black women, experience on a regular basis happens from normal dudes. Good dudes that you wouldn't think would make a move like that because they should know better. And we need to engage with that, because why did he think that was okay? Why did he think that was an appropriate move to make? Why didn't he catch her energy after, like, it don't take, like, I looked at this video. It don't take much. Thank you, Pastel. It don't take much to peep a woman's energy and understand that she's not comfortable. It don't take much. It don't feel good, especially if you're not trying to make, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a weird feeling. Sometimes it makes you feel a type of way. But the next step isn't, well, let me force her to be comfortable by sticking my tongue down her throat. Dude over there, this is a really good comment. Where were the old heads guiding this kid to not do this? And that is the complicated conversation. Because if we go by Meek Mill's logic about protecting black men and black boys, the problem, like, we talk about, oh, black women dress a certain way, don't be overly sexual, whatever, like, be respectable, be conservative, etc. That same conversation needs to be had with black boys about, like, yo, just because she wearing that, just because she looking at you a certain way, just because you took her somewhere, you don't automatically have access to that woman's body based off that until she decides and expresses to you that this is the move to make. If you are really serious, for all the people, all the naysayer niggas that's gonna come and call me the black male feminist after this, if you really care about protecting black boys, teach them about bodily autonomy early. Teach them about coercion. Teach them about consent. Teach these dudes that I don't care how much ass she's shaking in whatever video and whatever TikTok. If she put it on video for you to enjoy it from afar. I love me. I just started watching P-Valley season 2 over the weekend because I missed it early on. And boy, it's such a great show. That show was fucking amazing for all kinds of reasons, right? If I met the girl that plays Mercedes is from Atlanta. If I met her, I wouldn't expect her to be Mercedes. I would know better. But the problem is that these young bulls, as Meek Mill expressed, there is a culture of hypersexuality that just as the girls are exposed to it, and it comes through in their music and their content and the TikToks and the dress and the body modification, please understand that hypersexual media consumption goes both ways. And so any conversation you want to have with a girl about how she should present herself or being a lady, whatever, goes double for any young man in the situation. You have to have that conversation with these dudes. And here's the thing, I highlighted this tweet. I think most dudes fucking know better. Like I don't give a ton of credence to the idea that he didn't know what he was doing was wrong. I think he just thought he wouldn't get punished for it. I'm just keeping it real. I've been in these situations. I've seen the casual violation of women's bodies in a party environment, in a club environment. It is very performative. Assault is about dominance and power way before it's actually about sex. It's about dominance and power way before it's about sex. Dudes that get into that situation and they're either not taking no or they're not noticing no. They don't understand. It's because they don't want to, is my opinion. There's only so many situations where I think there's actually confusion around consent, which is why it is up to us as men to teach boys to get consent. And I don't care what situation you think is going to ruin the mood. I don't care how many women say they just want a man to come and take it, whatever. Fuck them women. Don't fuck them women. Like, don't leave them women alone, is what I'm saying. If you find you a woman that she just wants you to gorilla pimp a situation, that shit is over. We gotta change. Some of the women they're not gonna get what they want. I'm sorry. All right? I am not teaching that to my sons, because for whatever situation you thought you missed out on, you had a Netflix and chill, and you couldn't get the Netflix and chill to set off properly because you didn't want to make the move and she didn't want to make the move. Hey, them the breaks. We've all been there. We've all been there. Get consent. I guarantee you, the sex will still be good. I don't know anybody that was like, yeah, the pussy was all right, but then we had to get, like, I've never heard of, like, tell me if you've heard this, ladies, tell me if this is like a sentence you said. The dick was good, but he asked for consent first, so it ruined it. You see what I'm saying? That's not a real thing. That's not a real thing. Nobody's ever complained about dick having too much consent in front of it. Okay? Like, so I don't believe this rhetoric about him not knowing any better. I will give that he made a mistake and that he really feels bad about it. I'll give you that. But what's more important to me is for us to investigate and engage with why he made that mistake. JBMP 1390 says, this is why we need to teach young men and women about the importance of not just consent, but the importance of accepting rejection. Yes. And being, because like, man, if you really investigate into like rape culture and like the violence against women, you find that so much violation of women happens and goes unengaged with because the women were just scared of what might happen to them if they did what Suki Hana did. That's why she said she's scared to stand up for herself, because Black women are exposed to sexual violence at such a high rate that they don't want to say anything half the time. And please, for you ST and me type dudes in the that's about to pop up in my chat, I am not talking about Black men's sexual violence right now. I'm not. I've talked about it a bunch of times. Go watch some of them videos. It's not the time for it. All right. That said, she felt like she was scared because, like, a lot of young girls are exposed to sexual violence at an early age. They're adultified by men around them and the world at an early age. They learn not to even, like, they need conversations around consent too, because consent is confusing to them based on their experiences, because for some women, their consent doesn't seem like a real thing, especially women who are marginalized economically and socially. You know, like I see it already. Somebody says she twerked on a 10-year-old boy. That's not what we're talking about right now. That's not what we're talking about right now. Like, don't do the whataboutisms right now, because it's bigger than her. That's my whole point. Because the reason why I want to talk about this is the last thing I want to get into. The reason why I want to talk about this, and I don't need to write this down, is because when these things happen at a large scale, when it's a celebrity event, right? And the celebrities doing shit like this, right? And I'm not saying it's not crazy twerking on a 10-year-old, but that's out of pocket, right? But that's not what we're talking about right now. And the reason why I want to focus on the thing that I'm actually talking about is because when celebrities do something, we hold it up as like that incident, and we don't think about the countless examples of this happening outside in the real world to real normal people. We don't think about the fact that I have several nieces and 2 sons that are going to be exposed to sexual violence. And the issue isn't whether or not someone is a good or a bad person, or someone gets caught up in the moment, or someone makes a bad decision. Thank you. It doesn't matter if a victim is shitty. That's not what we're addressing. The issue is, until we update the way we think about these problems, they will persist. And when you hyper-focus on the individuals involved, when you say he's really a good guy, you're missing the point. And it's really, it gets into some deeper morality shit. It gets into, like, it's the same reason, like, when I said way back in the Bo Burnham video that, like, we need to disabuse calling racism evil, because nobody thinks they're evil. So when white people do racist shit, they excuse their behavior because they think, well, racism is evil. Racism is the worst thing a white person could ever do. And I'm not like a really bad person, so how could I be racist? Meanwhile, they're doing really racist shit. The fact that he's a normal dude and was capable of doing this speaks to the overarching culture of how we treat women and how men are taught, how boys are taught about women's bodies and consent, or I should say not taught. And that's what's been missing from this conversation. I don't know much about either of these 2 people on my screen. I genuinely don't. I wish nothing but health and wellness to each of them as they recover from the situation, especially Sukihana, because Sukihana is going through a different version of the problem, but it's bigger than them. Because for every Sukihana that's a sex worker adjacent person that's got an Instagram career and a music career, There are 100 little girls walking into the Fulton County Juvenile Court right now that ain't got but 100 followers. They're going to be exposed to the same level of sexual violence that she was and worse. And they're not going to have people tweeting about them. And so if you want to protect those girls, you're not going to just tell them, well, you know, dress conservatively and don't whatever. Like, you're not going to tell them that. That's not really going to help them. You need to address the things that put them in position to be harmed, which is structural violence, systemic racism, all that good stuff. And you need to be talking to young men. If you have boys in your life that you are connected to, you need to be addressing how consent works with them explicitly and directly.